Joining us now on Hot Copy, we have with us former Philippine Senator Antonio Trillanes. Senator Trillanes, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ms. Karen.
All right, now this is quite interesting because at one point you were on the other side of the spectrum here. Now, it's former President Duterte calling on the military to intervene as he calls this government fractured. He's once again called the president a drug addict and now called Antonio Lagdameo, one of the president's closest aides, a drug addict. I want to ask you first, do you feel or do you believe this is borderline seditious?
Well, definitely. It's inciting to sedition, and it could even lead to conspiracy to commit rebellion. And right now, we're closely monitoring also the developments within the ranks of the AFP. If such a call is gaining some traction, and unfortunately, there are some who are still loyal to the former president, but fortunately for us, this level of loyalty or sympathy to the former president hasn't reached that point wherein they would cross the line and break the chain of command as what we did back in 2003.
Okay, when you say some of them are loyal to former President Duterte, do you have actual numbers or actual information of who these military officers would be?
I think the right word is not loyal but sympathetic, and these are prevalent in chat groups of different PMA classes. So while the most of the chatter is coming from the retired ranks, but every now and then you'd encounter comments that are sympathetic to the former president. But again, there are levels of or phases before there is an actual military intervention, such as a coup or a mutiny, but they haven't reached that point because they need to organize, and there is no organization yet.
Okay, so Senator, when is sedition already crossing the line from freedom of speech? And I want to go back to you. In 2018, you were actually, charges of inciting to sedition were filed against you when you gave a privileged speech. And I remember then you believed when I interviewed you that that was within your rights. In your privileged speech in the Senate, you called on military men, and I'll quote this, to shoot, mas direkta yung inyo nun, to shoot President Duterte for his unexplained wealth. Sinabi nyo, gumamit kayo ng M60 machine gun. Diba? Sinabi nyo, you accuse them of having 2 billion pesos in their bank account, and you said, shoot the president for his unexplained wealth. So, what makes your situation, you were dismissed for that. Am I right, Senator?
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
Ms. Karen, you're quoting from the propaganda material that was used when they filed the case against me. That was definitely not what I said, and Senate records would bear me out. It was Duterte himself who challenged the AFP to shoot him if the accounts were true. And I presented the evidence. So I'm just saying during that privileged speech that, okay, since that was his call, that was his dare or challenge, then because of this evidence, then the AP should take that call and or accept that call. And that's what I said. So hindi ko sinabing barilin niyo siya ng ganon. No, definitely not. But in the and yung context nun talagang iba. Nagpe-present ako ng ebidensya to prove na totoo yung mga accounts at ang sinabi ko doon, billions in transactions. So the actual the actual balance may be higher or lower, pero yung na-flag ng Anti-Money Laundering Council, yun yung tumotal into billions. Yan po.
Oo. And to move forward from that, no? So you were indicted, but then it was dismissed. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely, because it was a privileged speech. Tapos hindi naman seditious yung statements ko precisely because iba yung context talaga. Galing sa kanya yon, yung nagsabing barilin niyo ako kung totoo yan. Ngayon nung prinob ko, ito totoo. Totoo ito. So paano ngayon? Parang ganun yon.
Okay. So when you presented when you were called in the Quad Committee hearing, you actually had a chart on the alleged 2 billion pesos, the alleged drug protection money that they were supposedly benefiting from, amounting to billions of pesos. So let's talk about this, Senator. Ang nangyari, nagalit si Duterte, di ba? Sinabi niya, sampalin ka niya. Parang ganun ang nangyari doon. Now, the kind of evidence you've presented, isn't it solid enough for a case to be filed against Duterte himself?
Yes, and I did file back in 2016. The problem right now is there is no institutional memory. I filed this. I had a press con about this precisely because the evidence was solid. And when I filed it with the ombudsman investigated the case and they requested AMLAC documents about this. And it was the Deputy Ombudsman, Arturo Carandang, who validated the information I had. He said in the media, and it can be Googled by everyone, that he said that the records that they have from AMLAC is similar to the ones that I have. So, yun na ngayon. Nung gumalaw na yung investigation, Duterte dismissed the overall Deputy Ombudsman. Yung nag-iimbestiga sa kanya, tinanggal niya sa pwesto. Yan po.
Pero ngayon na nag-iba na ang administrasyon, what are you planning to do with that case? Because if you have solid evidence...
Well, unfortunately, ang pinalit ni Duterte dun kay Deputy Ombudsman Carandang is yung tao niya. Kaya hindi gumagalaw yung investigasyon. Ganun po eh. That's how Duterte protects himself. But pag-retire kasi ng ombudsman itong August, we will have a new ombudsman, a more objective one and more proactive one, hopefully. Then, papalitan din itong mga deputy ombudsman niya, mga investigador, then doon pa lang natin makikita yan na uusad. Kasi
pero itutuloy nyo, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just waiting. I already gave them the documents that they need. And in fact, sila mismo nagsabi na parehas. So, yun. Ngayon, yung credits, yung tinignan namin, lahat ng pumasok na pera, credits, lalagpas ng 2 billion. Tapos, ang particularly interesting doon sa accounts na yon, yung cheque na in-encash nila sa isang drug lord, no? So nakita namin yung pattern, nagde-deposit ay nag-encash sila ng checks, 5 of them, 5 members of the Duterte family. Yung 3 anak, tapos si Hanilet, tapos si Duterte himself. So every 6 months nagdidividendo itong drug lord na ito. Nung una, when I found when we got these documents, hindi pa namin alam kung sino itong personality na ito. But in 2020, nung sinubmit ni Las Cañas yung kanya affidavit sa ICC, doon lumabas yung pangalan na this is one of the drug lords na partner ni Duterte doon sa Duterte Drug Syndicate in Davao. So doon na namin napagtagpi-tagpi lahat. Naggaling ito ng illegal drugs. So 40 to 50 million pesos ang dividendo sa kanilang lahat every 6 months. So walang negosyo itong tao na ito that can possibly do that.
Okay. All right. Would you be allowed, because clearly you were able to get the documents considering there's a bank secrecy law, but the banks, for example, that took the money, was this a mainstream bank or a rural bank?
It's a mainstream bank. And actually, noong 2016, again, just to refresh everyone's memory, nag-dare si Duterte na magkita daw kami sa BPI Julia Vargas branch kasi doon yung bulk ng transactions. Para daw mag-ano kami, no? To prove na hindi totoo yung allegations ko. So, sinabi niya sa mga supporters niya, pagbabatuhin niyo si Trillanes doon. Probably to intimidate me, paano ako sumipot. Pero I showed up and he did not show up. Tapos the branch manager was ready to give the statement of account, but si Panelo stopped him. Kasi sinasabi niya, hindi, dito sa kanyang special power of attorney, specific yung request nila. It is not the usual statement of account which the bank was ready to give. And ito yan. Yung account manager ni Duterte sa BPI Julia Vargas, eventually, prinomote niya to be the SSS president when he was president. So dito mo makikita, no? Nire-reward niya yung mga nagpo-protect sa kanya, yung mga sumusunod sa kanya.
Oo. At hanggang ngayon, ang tanong kasi ngayon nito, Senator, is how sure are you that the money is still in the account?
Wala na po, no? I-assume natin na natanggal na wala na yan. But the records will remain in the system. Kasi nung napasa yung anti-money laundering law, ganun na. Naka-records nasa record na yan, lahat. Hindi na mabubura yan. Kaya eventually, in an impeachment court, ay lalabas yan. Kasi exemption yan sa bank secrecy law, yung impeachment. Kaya
Okay.
ako, I am confident
and
lalabas.
But was Vice President Sara Duterte a recipient of these alleged monies, the dividends coming from supposedly drug protection? Is there proof that she was a recipient, sir?
Yes. Ang nakalagay kasi doon sa present ko na documents, manager's checks under her name coming from this drug lord na pangalanan ni Las Cañas. So it's Sara Duterte when she was still a mayor. So that's even direct bribery, no? Aside sa illegal drug trading, money laundering. So ang daming kaso nun. So Sara Duterte, Digong Duterte, Baste, Ulong, and Hanilet. So 40 to 50 million pag tinotal mo sila lahat. Every 6 months, talagang periodic siya eh. Kaya na-establish yung pattern.
Okay. Now, former President Duterte has accused you of being an attack dog, right, for this administration. I mean, at one point, you would have been a critic of the Marcos administration, given the things that Trillanes stands for, the equity and branding of Senator Trillanes. At one point, you would have been probably a critic of the Marcos administration. Now, you are accused of being an attack dog for the palace.
Okay. Again, palagay ko dun sa mga sumusubaybay dun sa the past 8 years, I have been very consistent in raising this issue. Lalo na itong issue na to, I've been challenging him to sign a waiver kasi when he accused me of having foreign bank accounts, I signed the waiver immediately authorizing Bangko Sentral and other the Anti-Money Laundering Council to open anything I gave it to them, inauthorize ko, sinubmit ko. Then I even brought the media to Singapore. Doon sa isang branch na sinasabi niyang meron daw ako account. So narinig mismo ng mga reporters natin, and it was reported na walang account na ganon. Tapos when confronted by this, anong ginawa niya? Sinabi niya, nagpagod ka pa, inimbento ko lang naman yon. So, ganon yung ginawa niya sa akin. Pero ngayon, no, ako nagcha-challenge sa kanya, he keeps on creating a scene. Nakikita nyo, pag nako-corner niya siya palagi, it's either he will divert the issue with another issue, or he will create a scene, kagaya ng ginawa niya dun sa Quadcom hearing. Kasi we kept on bringing that waiver issue back, no? In fact, sinabi ko, sige, willing ako magpasampal sa'yo, pero pumirma ka ng waiver. Nag-iba na naman ang condition. So, ano daw yun?
Kumbaga, you have actually accepted. I think the public shouldn't forget this. You accepted every challenge that Duterte has brought upon you from the time he was president. You accepted them all.
Yes, kinocall ko palagi yung... Yes.
Well, now, I don't think this will be any surprise to you. He plans to sue you for libel. Does that even... I don't think that would bother you after sedition charges were filed against you, right?
He filed around 20 cases against me during his term. No, hindi ako na-intimidate no. And pagka ginawa niya kasi itong libel na ito, according sa Bank Secrecy Law, if the object of the litigation is the account itself, then another exemption to the Bank Secrecy Law yun. Doon ko ngayon mailalabas pagka yun ang subject ng litigation.
So he might as well sue you.
Yes.
Okay, so all right. Let's now move to Vice President Sara Duterte. Okay. What's come out in the Quad Committee hearings is the confidential funds of the Vice President are released essentially to a military officer who's assigned to her. And then the confidential funds of the DepEd is released to another military officer that's assigned to her. So Nolasco and La Chica, both military officers assigned to her. And of course, the joint circular states that it should be disbursed only to certain individuals. But with the Vice President, it's released to two military officers, the checks. So DepEd, 37 million, tatlo yun, 112 million. Yung OVP, nare-release din. Ang nagre-release at nare-release to is the military officer. Ang tanong, why? Why the military officers?
Ang nakita kong probable explanation dito is para ma-compartmentalize niya at ma-control niya yung leak ng information. She probably assumed that these people are willing to throw away their careers and even their freedoms for her. No? Masusubukan yan pagka na-recall itong mga officers na ito at masubject sila ng court-martial proceedings. Kasi lalabas yan na maraming infractions of the law, and they will have to either speak up and tell the truth, or ma-incarcerate sila forever. Kasi ibang ang court-martial. Ang articles of war, arbitrary ang detention dyan. Kumaga, hindi yan regular courts. So magsasalita at magsasalita yan, depende sa pressure na i-apply ng AFP leadership.
So what Colonel La Chica and Captain Nolasco have been doing is against the law.
Yes, and they probably do not know it yet, but it is very obvious na against sa ibang accounting procedures natin as dictated by the Commission on Audit. Tapos, eventually, pag in-interrogate kasi sila, if they clam up, yun mismo is a violation of the Articles of War. Pwede ka nang i-detain doon. Kaya the first step siguro is to recall them sa AFP and i-subject sila sa investigation.
Okay, that's the first step. Recall them, subject them to investigation. Is there enough information to prove or to show that it is being given to the military? Because there are unconfirmed reports of destabilization. And given today that it's so important not to give in to disinformation, right? Is there enough evidence for that?
Not coming from the confidential funds per se. Kasi nung last tranche nung kanilang confidential funds ay magkasama pa sila. Hindi pa sila nag-split up. But maraming perang na itago itong mga Duterte na ito. So they can use the money from the drug lords, ng mga partners nila, yung mga smugglers, lahat, marami ito na natabi. Kaya hindi necessarily doon yung money trail. No? Ngayon, ang primary concern natin dito is aside from this legal aspect na uncover marami no by the day, pero yung mga ginagawa nila kasi the Dutertes alam nila that they are trapped in a corner na no, so they are expected to fight back. Kaya yun yung gusto natin makita kung hanggano kalalim yung kung may nabuo na silang organisasyon capable of launching a military intervention. At yun yung kailangan makontain, no? Habang lilitisin sila. Kasi talagang kailangan managot, and it's high time na managot sila.
All right. Now, should the vice president be impeached? You have some sectors that say, politically speaking, you should just the administration should just ignore her. Then you have some sectors that say she should be impeached. But it can go both ways.
Yeah. Okay, ganito yan, ano? I think hindi na tayo respetuhin ng mundo kung hindi ito may impeach, no? Kaya palagay ko meron at merong mag-file ng impeachment at tabayanan natin 'yan, no? Kasi para makita natin na talagang functioning democracy pa tayo, kasi hindi pwede, nakita nyo naman in full display yung mga ginagawa ni Sara, no? At ano ito, kailangan may consequences dun sa actions sila. Makita mo itong Duterte family na ito. Sa sobrang sanay sila ng impunity culture dun sa Davao, ina-assume nila na pwede nilang gawin pa rin yun outside Davao. Probably nung panahon nung tatay niya, nila Duterte, nung administrasyon nila as president, nagagawa nila kahit na ano. Pero ngayon, hindi na dapat. No? Kailangan may pushback at I think it's going to happen. Hindi pwedeng i-ignore ito, Miss Karen, kasi paano na yan? Nakita mo, she's pushing the boundaries every time. So hindi pwedeng kinukonsinti ito. Kung nung bata pa ito, nung pinalaki ito ng ganyan, kinukonsinti yung mga kung ano man yung hinihingi niya. Pero iba na to. It has to stop.
When you look back at your own experience, you've been through so much, all right? In 2003, you and other officers staged the Oakwood Mutiny. And then at one point, there was a trial. You walked out of your trial. There was the Manila Siege, Manila Peninsula Siege. You were much younger then, of course. But when you look back, what was different from what you were fighting for? From, let's say, what Sara Duterte might be saying, what she's fighting for today, right? Yeah. I mean, then it was Gloria Macapagal Arroyo was president, and Sara Duterte now is saying this administration is going after its political opponents, its political persecution. Senator.
Well, there's a big difference, no? Yung sa amin, yung kausa namin, the cause, malalim, no? It's about corruption in government, state-sponsored terrorism at the time na ginagawa nila, no? Against the civilians. So yun. Tapos ito kasi yung kausa nila ngayon is personal. Kaya nga yung may personal sympathies kay Duterte, sige, ando doon yun, given yon, no? Marami siyang nabola, no? Nabudol ng mga officers. But is it enough for you to throw away everything, your freedom, your career for this guy? No? It may not be enough. Tapos next doon is yung organization. Kailangan organisado kayo, di ba? Pagkilos niyan. May mga phases yan, and I think hindi sila nakalagpas dun sa socialization and recruitment phase. So they're still there. They've been trying the past year, pero nobody's biting so far.
Oo. Now, you were on the other side of the fence. You were a military officer. You tried to stage a coup, asking that Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo be ousted. Then you won as senator, right? You actually won as senator without even campaigning, outside. I'd like to remind the public that you won as senator. You were detained. You were completely detained. You won as senator for what you stood for against Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo. You've seen it all. So ang tanong ko ngayon, Senator, should the military really be put in this position? Diba? Yan ang tanong. Lagi na lang bawat administrasyon, the military is that single possible threat for a president to be ousted. Kaya nililigawan ang military.
Kung po kasi to, no? It's a reality as a developing country, no? O, tinatawag nilang third world state. So, yun ang situation. Yung institutions are not yet strong enough to do checks and balances. Kaya may mga nag-aabuso. So, kaya palaging hinahanap yan. Plus, nandoon yan sa Constitution, the AFP is the protector of the people and the state. So, during times na ino-oppress ang taong bayan, parang last resort yung military intervention. At nangyari na yan. We have 2 episodes in our history na pumasok. So, pero hindi yan ginagamit arbitrarily. Titignan naman natin yung sitwasyon. Meron bang oppression na nangyayari? Wala naman. So, yun yung kausa na ini-embrace mo. Kung ang presidente would start ordering the military to start shooting people everywhere, yan talaga. Parang it's a moral obligation for you to intervene aside pa dun sa constitutional mandate mo to intervene. But there is no such situation that would warrant that. No? Dito ang panawagan ng mga Duterte is actually i-save sila. Kasi makukulong na sila eh. No? Silang pamilya, makukulong sila for the abuses that they have done in the past. Si Duterte, ICC, itong sila Pulong, yung drug smuggling nila. Kumbaga, ito na eh. Naniningil na ang lipunan dun sa mga kasalanan nila.
Now, there were calls, I think, for a vigil and another EDSA. I saw videos of it on social media. So if ever the attempt would be EDSA 4, right? Nag-erap tayo EDSA 3. It did not fly, but this is another one. What's your take on it, Senator?
Learning from the lessons of history, kailangan hindi ina-underestimate ito. Nung ang major mistake nung Estrada administration was they underestimated the political opposition then to launch another EDSA.
Yeah, which was EDSA 2.
EDSA 2. So EDSA 2, eventually, nagkaroon ng political crisis which was the only opening that they needed. Noong una yung impeachment trial, impeachment complaint hindi pinapansin. Pero nagkaroon ng political opportunities, political crisis, then gumulong na siya, nag-snowball siya. So hindi dapat ina-underestimate anything. Dapat vigilant sa iba't ibang fronts, sa political front, sa military sector, and dito sa legal front. Kailangan nakamatsyag ang administrasyon para hindi sila malusutan kagaya nung nangyari kay President Estrada.
So you wouldn't underestimate this?
I wouldn't.
Not. All right. Okay, I think on that note, I just wanted to add, I know you're running for mayor of Caloocan,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay, it's the first time I'm speaking to you after a long time. Why did you choose to run for mayor? I mean, you could have run for the Senate in 2025. Why mayor?
Dahil ano po no, I was invited to explore yung running for mayor last year. So tinignan namin yung situation at talagang maluba ang kalagayan ng Caloocan. It was badly neglected and talagang grabe yung corruption doon. So napagpasyahan ng aming grupo that we can make a difference in the lives of the people of Caloocan and transform it into a progressive city, no? So yon, that's one major factor, and the other is nagbago na yung terrain sa national campaign politics, no? Resource driven na siya. Hindi na pwede yung skill set namin noon as you mentioned noona na nanalo kami while incarcerated.
Oo.
Hindi na pwede mangyari ngayon yun. At ano na siya, resource driven that hindi na namin pwede makapag-compete.
All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank you for joining me today. Will you be attending another Quadcom hearing, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be attending the Quadcom hearing later this afternoon. I will be presenting the true narrative about Duterte's drug war, and this is a ruse. Yung drug war ni Duterte is a ruse. Duterte actually has his own drug syndicate at yun yung nag-flourish nung panahon niya. Pinatay nila yung kompetensya, tinakot nila yung taong bayan para hindi sila pagsuspetsahan. Then nag-flourish yung kanyang own drug syndicate.
All right. On that note, so we will be watching the hearing later. Thank you so much for joining me today, former Senator Antonio Trillanes.